Today we had some really sloppy executions. It was not good. And really it all started just by wanting to collect a winning day. I wanted to long the 30-minute PO3, but I didn't account for having a safe stop because this was such a safe stop. We actually had a microcycle SMT here. We had a 90-minute microcycle with accumulation low right here. And we had a regular trading hours SMT with ES. We can just pull up regular trading hours. Regular trading hours low was not tapped. So we had three Kraken correlations, including regular trading hours, which is our, usually the first move that the market makes off of regular trading hours SMT. And we had correlated time frames. We had like literally everything for this 30-minute PO3. I just put my stop way too close on the 2-minute because I thought that this inversion would hold, but I put it at the body. And since we're so volatile, there's no reason to have a small stop. It's just, the points look scary, but that's the stop you have to have. Just lower your size. And that's kind of what you have to do in these market conditions, or you have to get a better entry. And I just messed up from the beginning. That carried over into my next trade, which wasn't very good. Shorting off this fair value gap, off a new true microcycle. At this point, we still have a 90-minute in play, but it doesn't look good. Like, why are we shorting after we hit CE of the week? We had an SMTF V-shaped recovery, and we're creating a 5-minute inversion. This 5-minute inversion wasn't the sign to short yet. It was actually, we're going to grade the quadrants of this breaker on the 5-minute. Actually, so here's technically this isn't a breaker because there's no bullish candle, but on the 15-minute, here we have a kind of breaker is what I saw like to enter off of for this 15-minute CISD. Because when I saw this 15-minute CISD, I knew that we're going to go short. Then I entered in on the combine, and that's why there's one execution. I do want to pull up. Let's just pull up this. 15-minute breaker is right here. So looking at NQ, any entry in this 15-minute breaker, we can mark it. 15-minute bearish breaker block. We've been using a lot of breaker blocks on open. So true microcycle open. We have our not really any high time frame Kraken correlation because we all took out previous day high every day, or every asset took out previous day high. And actually YM did not. And YM was also the one that gave us the Kraken correlation. I just want to check if YM took out previous day high or not, because I don't think it did. Yep, we didn't. So YM was giving the Kraken correlations today, which is not ideal because YM is a bit harder to read, especially in this market. So in the Kraken correlation with YM, we have a bearish daily cycle, bearish DC, plus we have this 15-minute CISD, 15-minute breaker, and right here in the first presented for value gap is where we are shorting from. That's like ideal. I waited for 10 a.m. because we had 10 a.m. news, and then after that I entered this trade to go to cover the losses on the combine because I could add more size there, and I felt comfortable doing it with this risk because it was a lot of points. But that was the trade I took, and really I didn't want to hold this trade any longer. I didn't really want to take it any lower. I just took it to true day open and then sold because of the volatility. It already paid back the loss. So after that, I kind of thought that we were just going to move lower and have increasingly higher volatility. And I was correct, but I was incorrect on how I went about entering. So on YM, we have another 15-minute SMTF. So this 15-minute gap, this 15-minute, oh, we don't want regular trading hours. So this 15-minute gap had a 15-minute SMTF. And that wick high, if you're entering on a 15-minute SMTF, it has to be at the wick high of the one sweeping. In this case, we had a 5-minute tap. But my short position, you can see, was just not at the right time. I was looking at 1030 shorts right here. Actually, if I just like had my stop where entered the same trade but had the stop loss on ES, we wouldn't have gotten stopped out. This is our stop loss. the same price on YM. We ended up sweeping this. So that is our microcycle SMT. Like a slight, not even a microcycle. It's not even a microcycle, but between this and that high on YM, just put, I don't want to keep pulling up YM, but right here between these two, YM swept at 1032. So 1032, we had 10, 4, 3, 2. So this is our microcycle. Bearish microcycle. It's not really that clean, but it is technically a bearish microcycle. And this sweep was the only thing that took me out. I honestly should have had my stop at this microcycle high, but the entry didn't look as clean just because of the points. I mean, I know that's nothing when the volatility is like this, but still, I couldn't afford an entry. So I ended up taking this loss, and my fill was not great. I thought that this was going to be the inversion, and then I would just have a stop 50, 60 points up. But I got stopped out, which is very sad because this was a great trade to be in. Then I really got in my head, and I was wanting to long the bottom of the market at discount sell side. So this is CE of the current weekly range. And off of this 15-minute retrace, I was looking to sell it at CE. That's basically top tick. And because it was that, I knew that this short would be an aggressive leg down to find our discount sell side wherever our real pool of liquidity is, because we're dropping hundreds of points. We're down 5%, which is like 1,200 points on the Nasdaq. So this long was really going to be my last trade. I and eventually went break even because on this 30-second, I want to take the risk off. We had true microcycle open right here. There was no SMT. There was no like true microcycle open sweep. So I wanted to go break even because I knew that this wasn't as probable of a trade as I thought it would be. It would just be a low stop entry because it was at that discount low. But that's no reason to really take a trade. So 1 to 2 is what I was looking to get out at. It immediately ran to that after my stop loss got hit. Sorry, my break even got hit on this trade. So saved myself from a loss there, but going break even also didn't. It wasn't logical to go break even. It was more of a I want to take the risk off the table because it was up probably 1.2 R, 1.5 R. So that was an unfortunate trade. Shouldn't have been longing any play in any place in this price run. But you can see OTE ranges of each leg are how the retracements are kind of looking. That's how they're kind of looking to retrace. I mean, some of them are just really weak. Like this is very weak. This retrace, it didn't go really anywhere. In our 30-minute PO3, we didn't retrace the CE, which is really what I was looking for. If we tapped into this 5-minute, I would be in. That would be an A plus model. Retrace into this, but I guess since we have the breaker, the first presented overlapping the breaker and 10 a.m. overlapping with all of that, I guess you didn't need to have a retrace in the OTE. But just looking at that entry, breaker high, be there, and that's a higher time frame breaker too. Like we use the 5-minute right here, and the 15-minute breaker. So when we have overlapping breakers, I mean the stop entry was like 55 points, very manageable, and entry would be anywhere after this inversion. So waiting for this inversion, which is a BPR in the first presented in 10 a.m. after 10 a.m. price, like this was the entry to be in for the rest of the day. And holding the 4-hour and the 90-minute, just looking at the 90-minute candle would have told you just hold it for the entire 90-minute, because we're going to create a wick, and it's probably not going to be a big wick because of this of this movement. And so look where you would have exited. You would have exited at low of day and literally had runners still if you wanted to. Just exiting based on time, that's one 90-minute candle. So holding it for at least that would have been likely what I would have done seeing this volatility. And then holding based on the 15-minute, or I mean the 15 minutes are so easy to hold on this because they're dropping and they have a slight tap. Like there's no fill right here, slight tap on this 15-minute for value gap, and then the rest is just printing wicks but going lower and creating 5-minute retraces, minor 5 minute retraces to go lower. These are harder to enter on, so the reason I took that final trade was because on the 30 second, we are just like, we're moving. We're moving down. After this wick was created, I was convinced that this would get tapped and it would just completely drop, and I managed to secure 150 points on this. 150 on one of the accounts. The others I cut short at like 120, 100 points, so I could just pay back my loss and get a winning day on my max balance account, and then some of my just one of the other funded accounts that I let kind of run a little bit longer while I was securing profit. So overall, a really, really crazy day. Hard to read from the beginning, but I knew my cycle was incorrect once we dropped below. Once I realized the 15-minute CISD was in play for the highest time frame kind of reversal that we have, then I knew XAMD manipulation wasn't this low. It wasn't the 90-minute and the micro. It was when we created the DC to drop for right there, 1030 distribution cycle, and the 90-minute falling over to distribution in the daily cycle, which most of it was done by the 90-minute. So you can see the significance of that 90-minute candle and just the 90-minute quadrants. Other than that, the microcycle didn't really give us an easy earlier entry unless you entered on the first SMTF at the high. I mean, that's like a basic previous day high sweep, daily cycle, and then SMTF inversion, V-shape recovery. That's a great trade, but I just don't see it enough to have data on it. I see it with previous day high, previous weekly high, but ES and NQ both swept previous day highs, so I faded it, which I saw it playing out. I wanted to enter like as it was dropping there, and then it really dropped, and I just couldn't afford the entry anymore. So a very quick day. You have to be quick. You couldn't hesitate, especially in this kind of range. So entries were few and far between unless you were really precise on, like I said, the 10 a.m. This 30-minute PO3. If you just traded the PO3, but your exit would literally be like, I don't even know where you'd exit. You probably have to have like a strict RR exit because we didn't even reach CE of the week. You would have to exit based on probably ES taking previous day high, which is 945, like right there. So not a great trade for our continuation, but waiting for 10 a.m. proved that 10 a.m. and 10:30 you had an entry. I didn't have my stop at the right place, but these are the entries that you would have had: 5-minute breaker, 15-minute breaker, with all the other confluences of the 30-minute inversing, and then 10:30 continuation for the 90-minute candle to our drawn liquidity, which played out beautifully, and we ended up taking the low of the week, which I like stated, I did not expect that to happen today. I thought we'd go to Asia and then consolidate the rest of the day, but today was an aggressive manipulation day. So I guess we'll see what we do for the rest of the week, because this volatility is not going anywhere. So let's just see how we can capitalize on it. Definitely have to lower size because you cannot be taking insane massive losses waiting for a big payout on a trade, because it's gonna kill you mentally, especially trading ranges that are 700 plus points daily, which I've never seen before. So that is gonna be it. Just a quick trade recap. I mean, even if we held this, it's still up 700, 650 points from our last entry, which I thought was close to the bottom. So very, very confusing market. Really, you don't even want to hold this. I mean, unless you're trying to hold it for the highest time frame, you don't want to hold this. You want to take your profit out. You want to have stops break even. You want to be in and hold and not re-enter, because it's likely just going to be worse than the entry you already have. So take that into consideration when you're trading these volatile times, because you can get paid a lot, but you can also lose a lot taking a lot of re-entries and putting risk on the table just to find those high time frame moves. So wait for 10 a.m., wait for 10:30. We had 10 a.m. news as well today, so that would, if it did more, I mean, I think it would have helped, but still, news candle, it was used for a quick draw. Damn, I'm kind of butthurt about this. This is a great day to trade, and I would have been in literally at this top and held for probably like a 500 point day, or more, honestly, depending on how I wanted to hold in partial in the 90 minute, like maybe a 1,000 point day. So move on and trade the next day. I'll see you guys in the next video.